Thank you for joining us today. This is our annual State of the Program webinar. We started this a few years ago as a way to review the great accomplishments that we've had the previous year and also discuss the upcoming changes in the current year. So with that being said, we're going to kick it off right now. There we go. So what I always like to do is start with the highlights. You know, what was good? What were our numbers? You know, all that monthly reporting's got to go somewhere, right? So we want to see what that overall impact actually looks like. And so we've put those numbers together for you. So in 2015, we had 316,000 hours, volunteer hours in our local communities, and that's huge. And that number is actually up from 202,000 in 2014. And just so you have an idea, this does have a dollar impact. Every volunteer hour that someone donates to your downtown actually does have a dollar impact, and that is around, I believe, $22 an hour. So yes, your volunteers are worth more than sometimes your actual employees and staff and everybody that helps on. That is because their time is donated. And so this impact, those 316,000 volunteer hours that people have donated, actually have a $7 million impact across the state. And that's pretty phenomenal when you think about it. So $7 million impact. And that's time that they're giving to help our programs be successful. And we're just so grateful for everything that they do to help you guys, execute your projects and your programming and just, move the ball forward. Attendance at events last year was 3.5 million, and that number is actually up from 3.1 million in 2014. And so one of the things, we obviously here at DCA and the Office of Downtown Development know that downtown development is economic development, right? We say that all the time. But, promotions and events do help us create a sense of community. And these numbers to us just show our office and our agency that our downtowns are a force to be reckoned with. We're not shriveling up and dying. We're not going away. If anything, our impact is growing annually. And so 3.5 million people came to participate in events that our programs hosted downtown in 2015. The number of building rehabs is up in 2015. This number is up from 445 building rehabs in 2014, and this past year in 2015, our building rehabs had an overall impact of $50 million. That means $50 million has been put into revitalizing buildings, to saving buildings, to preserving history, to putting buildings back in the tax digest that are contributing to your communities. And that impact is huge. One of the other things that we have noticed, and I think we speak about this a lot, but to actually see the numbers and see what the reality is unbelievable. But new housing, we keep saying housing is coming back to downtown, whether that's in single families, condos, multifamily, apartments, all these different things. We keep saying housing is going to be a force to be reckoned with when it comes to downtown, and we have to be able to support that infrastructure, right? So new housing units, we've had over 1,200 new housing units created in our downtowns across the state in 2015. This number is up from 273 last year. That means we've more than quadrupled our impact in 2015. And to me, that just really speaks volumes to what we've been saying the trends are. It's not just something we're saying anymore. We actually have the data and the information to back it up. And I also want to say that while we've quadrupled our numbers from the previous year, these are the highest numbers ever reported in the history of our reporting. So since we've been tracking this, this is the highest numbers that we've ever seen annually, and that is just super awesome. One of the other great numbers that we've noticed is that we have a lot of new businesses opening, and that all comes from part of those rehabs and buildings that we're putting back in the tax digest. This year we had 981 new businesses opened, and that is more than 199 extra businesses than we had the previous year. And these are the highest numbers that we've had reported since 2006. So I definitely think the recession's over. Good things are happening downtown, and we're able to see that progress across the state. One of the other things that you notice we track is businesses expanding. So not just new businesses that are opening, but businesses that are expanding and growing and making a bigger impact. And that is the goal. It's not just, you know, getting people in vacant buildings, but also how are we supporting the current infrastructure that we have? How are we doing business retention and expansion? How are we helping support those that have been in our communities for 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, or maybe even just 2 to 5? This number is up from 2014. The previous year we had 136 business expandings, and in 2015 we had 185. And so that's great to be able to see that trend is moving upwards. And obviously, when we talk about businesses expanding and businesses opening, we need to correlate that with jobs, correct? So in 2015, we had over 3,000 net new jobs that were added to our downtowns. And obviously, that word net is really important because that means we're also calculating the jobs that were lost. So these are net jobs in 2015. And this means that since 2014, we've added an extra 511 jobs to our downtowns just in 2015 alone. And we keep saying this, but we are economic development engines. And, you know, this right here, this number, this is probably the #1 impact number that your community wants to see that you're doing. They want to see jobs are being created, businesses are being open, and that impact that it's having in the community. So we're excited to say that, yes, this number is up dramatically from last year. And I'm really happy because last year we were just short of that 3,000 mark. We're about 2,800, and I was like, man, we can get there. And you guys were awesome. You blew it away this year. And this one is my favorite number. Our overall impact in 2015, and that's private-public investment combined, was $414 million. This number is up from 2014, and it is up by an extra $246 million. This is the highest private-public investment impact on record for our communities. The last highest number on record was from 2009, and that was for $396 million. So we have definitely surpassed that this year, and I'm just so proud to be a part of what you guys do. And I know that I harass you endlessly about the impact of these monthly reports and that this information matters, but it feels so good to be able to give you guys this feedback and to be able to show you the impact of all the work that you're doing, whether it's in the region, whether it's in the state, or whether it's in your own community. These numbers right here are job security for every single one of you. And so I am grateful for all the time and energy that you put into them. So we're going to talk a little bit about changes and updates coming to the Georgia Main Street program in 2016. I'm going to tell you right now, nothing scary, nothing that you have to worry about, nothing that you need to be scared of, and it's all good stuff. Like I said, this is a constant evolution process, and as we go through this every single year, we're always going to make slight tweaks and changes based off of your feedback, what you're telling us, trends and things that we see based off of the monthly reporting and annual reports, and also what's happening, you know, to reflect the changes in the National Main Street Center. So we're going to kick it off with talking about the 2016 program tiers. As you may be aware, we've talked about in previous webinars, the National Main Street Center is going to have 3 tiers. This year they're introducing 2 tiers. It's called the Main Street America Affiliate tier and the Main Street America Accredited tier. So how does that correlate with what we have? So the Downtown Affiliate Network, the Classic Main Street Program, and the GEMS, which stands for Georgia's Exceptional Main Streets, those are actual tiers offered by our organization. So the Downtown Affiliate Network tier correlates with the Main Street America Affiliate tier. They go together. They mean the same thing. And basically, actually, I'll get into the details in a little bit. But this is a perfect fit for those communities who want to be involved with what we're doing, who want to participate, but don't necessarily either A, want to meet the standards. You don't want to do monthly reporting, you don't want to do annual assessments, or you don't have the capacity to meet them. So that could be a good fit for you. The classic Main Street programs, that's what we think of with our traditional Main Street communities. You know, you're dotting all your I's, crossing all your T's, and doing everything you need to do. And that correlates with the Main Street America accredited designation. The Georgia's Exceptional Main Streets, those are the programs that have shown that they have gone above and beyond in meeting the standards and really have been able to show that measurable impact. This year, they will correlate with the Main Street America accredited tier, just like the classic programs on that national level. They will have the same designation, but the National Main Street Center will be rolling out a premier. So it'll be Main Street America Premier designation in 2017. And so the GEMS communities that are at that level will get that designation once it's available. And so I'm going to show you briefly kind of some of the differences between these tiers. So the Downtown Affiliate Network is actually something we're really pushing this year. And the reason is that it's not necessarily something we're pushing for us, but we're pushing for the programs and the communities. Main Street, that traditional classic Main Street program tier, it's not always the best fit for everybody, especially if you're one of those programs that you're doing your own thing, you've got a lot going on, but the monthly reporting may not be something that really is up your alley or something very valuable to you. Maybe the annual assessment process, you know, you just don't have the capacity to be able to manage that. Or maybe the city wants to be involved but doesn't want to have paid full-time staff. So maybe the Downtown Affiliate Network would be a good fit for you. Someone who believes in the Main Street approach, who wants to be a part of what we're doing, who wants to participate, but doesn't necessarily want to have to meet that threshold of standards to be able to call themselves that traditional Main Street. So with the Downtown Affiliate Network designation, you are still required to have an MOU on file with DCA between the city and our agency. That's for everybody. So regardless of your program level or your designation, the National Main Street Center requires us to have an MOU with every single community that we're working with. As a Downtown Affiliate Network program, you are not required to complete monthly reporting or the annual assessment. Now, if you wanted to do that, that's fine. If you're tracking it, you want to be able to see the impact, I would never discourage that from anybody, but you are not required to do it. You'll have limited access to our technical services from our office. You'll have a special price point for training and design services, which means you're going to get a better rate than if you were not a Main Street community or not connected with our office. You have more flexibility in how you approach downtown development, meaning if you really need to focus on economic development, if you're a community that really needs to focus on preservation or design, you have that flexibility. You're not having to work the traditional 4-point approach. You can focus on the areas that you believe impact your community the most. You are not designated or licensed to use the name Main Street, but you are designated and licensed to use the term affiliate. So you would actually have a special designation from the National Main Street Center that would be Main Street America Affiliate Program. And that's different than what has been available to communities in the past. So we're grateful that they have addressed that need and that we're able to offer that to our communities as well. For our classic Main Streets, that's the majority of you. You guys will be licensed to use the name and the brand of the term Main Street America. You will and are required to submit monthly community activity reports. You are required to submit an annual assessment document to our office yearly. You get unlimited technical services as provided by our office. You get a special discounted pricing for training and design services as offered by our design service team, our downtown design studio in Athens, and you can have access to special low interest loan rates for downtown development revolving loan fund projects, which is a special financing program offered by DCA. For our GEMS communities, the Georgia's Exceptional Main Streets, this is something that hopefully some of our communities who aren't at this designation level are interested in working towards. And so with this designation, you're licensed to use the name Main Street and will receive that special designation of Main Street America Premier when it's available. Monthly reports and the annual assessment are required of this designation level. They are eligible for scholarships and special financial incentive programs as offered by our office. They have the first right of refusal to those things when we have those opportunities to offer. They get a discounted price point for all training and design services, and that is a special discount beyond what is offered to our classic Main Street programs. And that's just the incentive or, you know, to say thank you for all your hard work and everything that you're doing and that impact that we're able to see. Our office will also highlight each GEMS community quarterly through our website and social media channels. And so that's the, you know, we're trying to make sure that if you're working towards this designation, there's actually something special that you get once you get there. And so that's what we'll be offering. So with all levels, regardless of your participation, we are asking that MOUs be turned back in by February 15th. I know for some communities, we have just reached out to them about participating in that Downtown Affiliate Network program. So we are giving them an extended deadline for that if they're going to participate at that affiliate program level till they have till March 15th, I believe, to send in MOUs. And so, like I said, we're giving them a little bit more flexibility because we're a little bit late in getting that information out to them. And what we are asking, in the past, we've required you to send in multiple copies, and everybody was signing it and sending it back. We're trying to make it so much easier on everybody this year. You just sign a copy, you send it here to us, we keep the hard copy on file here at DCA, and we will scan and upload a copy of the signed MOU from all parties to your community's Dropbox folder. So that way you have access to it at any time that you need it. You can download it and share it with anybody. Like I said, that's to make your life easier, that's to make my life easier, and that way you always have a copy and it's always accessible to you. Next, we're going to talk about training and updates to training in 2016. So the first part I'm going to be speaking to will be in regards to the managers. So Main Street program managers will be required to receive 30 hours of professional development training, and that's for those managers who are at that classic Main Street program designation level. So 30 hours of professional development training. When I say professional development, I'm giving you a lot of flexibility there. I'm talking about the National Main Street Conference. I'm talking about the Georgia Downtown Conference. I'm talking about the Georgia Academy for Economic Development. I'm talking about tourism. You know, the great thing is I'm really, really painting the idea of professional development training with a very, very broad stroke. So you can really interpret that as looking at what you need to get training in. Maybe there's an area that you're not as good at. Maybe there's certain things that you don't know and you really want to focus on getting training in preservation this year or economic development so it can make you more a much more competitive or helpful manager. And I'm allowing you in 2016 to focus on the areas that you need to focus on. The only other requirement besides that you have to receive 30 hours of professional development training is that you must attend one regional managers meeting. And we ask, of course, that you keep all training documented in your community's Dropbox folder. But in the past, we've had all these requirements as far as you have to go to this conference and you have to do that and you have to do this. I'm telling you, for 2016, we are going to be very flexible in this area. So, you know, these are your requirements as a manager. You have to get 30 hours of training and you have to come to one regional managers meeting. The schedule is already out and available on our website. We have a comprehensive training calendar that shows all the dates for the rest of the year. And I will say that if the manager is not able to attend the regional managers meetings based off of the dates that are available, you can also send a representative as well. So in regards to other people, new board members are required to attend Main Street 101 within their first year of their first term. This is similar to what would be required of an HPC commission or a Downtown Development Authority board member within their first year of their first term. The reason that we are starting this requirement in 2016 is because of the changes that have come down from the National Main Street Center in regards to the approach and how we teach the 4 points and what we're teaching. I think it's important that we take some of that burden from you guys of trying to teach your board members and your bosses basically how to be doing the job, and that they get to hear it from the horse's mouth. They get to hear it from us, how it's supposed to be communicated, how the program is supposed to work. And like I said, they have a year within that position to be able to get those training hours met. I know for some communities this will be a struggle because people don't want to leave. But the reality is I'm trying to get you better educated board members that will support you more in what you're doing and will be more helpful to you in the long run because they have a true foundational understanding of what the program is supposed to be. In 2016, we'll be offering 4 Main Street 101s and 2 Main Street 201s. This is the schedule as you will see it. So our first upcoming 101 will be in Thomasville, February 16th, and our first 201 will be in Greensboro on January 26th. So I will tell you, with our Greensboro Main Street 201, we are almost at capacity. We have a few seats left. So if you're on the fence about taking this and you keep thinking, oh, I'm going to sign up, I'm going to wait, don't wait, because we may not have a seat for you. And if you want to go, then you're going to have to go to Valdosta. So keep in mind, this is the only one that we're going to be doing in this North Georgia, Central Georgia area. So if you want to take advantage of that 201, now is the time to sign up for it. You'll see the schedule for the Main Street 101s. We've tried to spread them out throughout the state. So if you are in that South Georgia area and you've got new board members that need training and need to meet that requirement, I would highly recommend getting them to Thomasville. If you have support staff that has never been to 101, I would highly, highly, highly recommend sending them to 101. It's the same concept. You have someone who's working with you day in and day out, and if they haven't been through the official training to have a full comprehensive understanding of the program's approach and how things should be executed, you're having to teach them that whole process. Like I said, we're trying to make this easier on you. There are different price points for all of our different program tier designation levels. So there's a different price point for GEMS communities, for Classic Main Street communities, for affiliate programs, as well as the opportunity for communities that aren't participating in any designation level to sign up. But there is a different price point for that. So make sure when you go to register for these things, you're selecting the right price point for your community. This is a list of our regional managers meetings and the corresponding dates and communities that will be happening across the state. As you can see, we're concentrating them between May and August. Last year, I believe we had 10 different meetings across the state, and we combined a couple of them just because, due to some of our regions have smaller amount of managers in it, and the whole point of this is to be able to interact with other people. And so this year we've decided that we're going to go with 6 regional managers meetings. We do have them designated, as you will see, to highlight which regions they will kind of be serving, but you are more than welcome to go to any of them. And actually, if you want to go to more than one, that's fine as well, because that can help you meet your training hours. This is definitely up to you to decide which one you want to attend. But you can register as of right now, and there is no cost to attend these. So I will say that there will be a tour component in the morning. There will be some networking group discussions, and we hope you will join us for a networking lunch, but it is not required. So if you're one of those people, time is tight, you can get in and get out before lunchtime and get back to the office. We're trying to, be very conscientious about your schedules. So monthly reporting. Like I said, you were able to see the impact of your reporting in the beginning, and we're just going to talk real briefly about some of the changes in 2016. What I will say is that as far as the actual form itself, the information that you enter and how the form looks, there's going to be no changes. And I know that you're probably thrilled about that. You don't have to learn a new system. You don't have to learn anything new. You don't have to collect any new data. It's just exactly what the data has been this past year. So we're asking for the same kind of data. One of the things that is going to be the biggest change to the monthly reports is how accountable you are for turning them in on time. I will tell you that the system we use, FormStack, to submit and collect the monthly reporting, it has a timestamp. So whenever you turn in a monthly report, it is automatically timestamped. So I can see at what time of the day, on what day you sent it in. And that's important for us because in 2016, you will be required to submit your monthly reports by the 30th of each month. So we're always working a month behind. So January's report for 2016 will be due by the end of February. Now I'm going to say the end of February because we all know February doesn't have 30 days. So the end of February. February's report will be due by March 30th. March report will be due by April 30th, and so on and so on. We will be keeping track of that this year. So we will have a running list of who's on time and who submitted it on time. And I will say that in the annual standards for accreditation, it does reference this. You will not be able to meet that standard if you do not submit your monthly reports on time. And I want to say I'm not doing this just to be a stickler. I'm doing this because we've had situations and we've had problems this year and in the past with people not turning in their monthly reports, saying they're going to turn in their monthly reports, leaving, and never submitting anything. And then you're not just doing yourself a disservice, you're doing your community a disservice. And so then the new manager comes in and that information isn't there. And it impacts them as far as how their assessment goes and that process is for them. So, you know, we are going to be sticklers about this because we want to make sure that all the programs have every resource and tool they need throughout the year. So keep in mind that we have not finished 2015's reports. We are in January, which means December's monthly report will be due by January 30th. If you've completed them, if you've already turned in December's report, then you are absolutely good to go. But if you have not done it, then you will have till January 30th to do so. Please keep in mind that that will be the deadline for 2015. So on your end, it'll seem seamless, but on our end, we actually will close out one form and open another one for 2016. Like I said, that way it actually looks to you will mirror everything that we've done this past year, but on our end, it'll actually be a new URL and a new link. This is important because you will not be able to go and make any updates or changes to 2015 after that point. I can make any changes for you, but you yourself will not be able to submit any more reports for 2015 after January 30th. The 2016 monthly reporting link will be available beginning February 1st. And in a little bit, I will show you on the website where you can find that and access that information. But you'll be able to submit your January report for 2016 as of February 1st. One of the other things that we're doing for you is our office is going to compile a 2015 annual report for each of our programs during the month of February and give that back to you. And in this annual report, you will see your impact for your community as well as the overall impact for the state, so you can see how you compare. And like I said, we're doing that as a nice gesture to say thank you for all that you do to give us this data and this information. And then this is something that you can take back to your city, to your board, and be able to show them the impact that your community is making on an annual basis. The next thing we're going to focus on is annual assessments. So I know you just completed an annual assessment. You probably never want to hear the term annual assessment again, but we're going to talk about it briefly. So the annual assessment is something that is applicable for all of our Classic Main Street programs and our GEMS programs. One of the things that I will be saying is that we will still be using Dropbox and we will still be using that document, that self-assessment document. We've gotten good feedback from it, and I think that as far as helping you guys create work plans and seeing where you need to be tracking and what you need to be doing throughout the year, it's a good starting point for that. We have made some changes to the 2016 document, and I will say that the changes are for the better. We've tried to provide you more flexibility where possible and more options in certain standards. And so I will be walking you through some of those changes just to kind of highlight it for you. But what I will say is, you know, please do not wait till the end of the year to ask us about things. Let's discuss things now if you have questions or concerns. With the annual assessment, it will be due again by December 31st. It is required, like I said, of all Classic Main Street communities and GEMS, and a copy of this document is always online at our Georgia Main Street website. So if you don't have a copy of it, it is always there. It is always accessible. You never have to email us unless you just want to say hi and ask for it, but it's something you can always have. So what I'm going to do is actually leave this presentation here and pull up the annual standards for accreditation. So you will see that this will differ from last year's because I actually put the number here, 2016 annual standards for accreditation. Like I said, this document is always available on the website. You know, here it talks about the introduction and the purpose of it. This shows you the 10 different standards that you will be meeting. This is not an area you need to fill in. Recommendations for discussion during next year's evaluation. This is something that we will fill in for you. Here at the bottom, we will highlight how many, are meeting the standards. So you are required to receive 7 or more points in all of the standards in order to be accredited. And remember, we're always a year behind in accrediting. So we used 2015 to accredit for 2016. We used 2016 to accredit for 2017 because we have to be able to show the impact that you've been able to make in order to give you that designation. So I'm just going to highlight a couple different things in some of the standards. So with broad-based community support, we tried to give more flexibility. In the past, we've kind of outlined how many new volunteers you need to add and different things like that. Here we have organization actively recruited new volunteers. So I'm not necessarily spelling out how many volunteers you have to add. I'm just wanting to make sure that you are engaging with new people. Other things, if you do not have a membership program but you have a special tax district, I've tried to incorporate that here as well. If you have a membership program or a business improvement district, make sure you get credit for that. Standard number 2 pretty much stays the same. We want to make sure you have a clear vision and mission statement. What I will say is that I would like to make sure that every single year you're at least readdressing this to make sure that it still is applicable for your community. But if that document has not changed, the great thing is that it's already in your Dropbox folder. You don't have to do anything to it. You just leave it there. With your work plan, I believe last year that this first point said that was reviewed at every board meeting. We tried to get more flexibility here and says was regularly reviewed. This is just making sure you have good practices and that you are creating a work plan, but actually trying your best to work from the work plan. Let's see. Oh, one of the other things, I can't believe I waited this long to show you guys. This is my favorite thing about the document this year. And I will say it took a lot of time to do, so I hope you appreciate it. So in the past, people have called me and they're like, I don't know if I'm going to meet my points threshold. And then we start going through and adding stuff up. We do see that, those points will be met. One of the things that we have done is that this year, and I'm hoping it does it. Yep, there we go. This year you can check the boxes off for the standards you meet, and you will notice that the tally at the bottom changes. So that way you can add and unadd and change things and kind of go through at the beginning of the year and see where you're at and see where that total number will end up. I love this because it kind of takes some of the dummy work out of it. You don't have to add wrong. I don't have to go through and double check that you added things correctly. And it also makes sure that, the points value is correct as well. So like I said, it doesn't look like that big a deal, but it actually was a huge labor of love, and it was actually Julian from our design studio's idea. He was like, hey Jessica, what if we did this? Wouldn't it be awesome? And I was like, oh, I hate you, but you're right, this would be awesome. So this was totally his idea, and I have to admit it was an amazing idea, and so that's why we've incorporated it. With historic preservation ethic, I know that this is one of the areas that you guys have struggled with the most. And that's not just you, it's across the country. Everybody always struggles with historic preservation ethic. Obviously, we're in historic downtowns. Historic preservation is one of our main focuses, but how you actually meet this standard can be kind of challenging depending on your community. What I will say is last year you had to meet 10 out of a possible 22 points. This year you have to meet 10 out of a possible 27 points. So the number that you have to meet is still the same, but we have provided you with more options to meet it. And that's just to give you guys more flexibility and allow you more creativity in how you get to that final number. And I will say that we have gone back. We have tried to simplify this. Some of our points last year were kind of redundant a little bit, and we've tried to make sure that they're a little bit more diverse and offer you a few different opportunities and give you credit for stuff that's happened in the past as well as currently. One of the other things that we've done is this is one of the only areas that you will see there's a there's a separate points option, and this is for if you're hosting or attending a statewide Historic Preservation Commission training. So if you're hosting one in your community, you can get 3 points for it. If you are attending one, if you're going to an HPC training, you can get 2 points for it. If you're doing both, let's say you're hosting and attending, you can get 5 points for it. That's a big deal, but it's also a big deal to pull off. So we want to make sure that we're giving credit where credit's due. Like I said, you're going to have to take some time to read through this, but we've really tried to make sure that we're offering some diverse options here. And please, if you have any questions in regards to preservation, good preservation ethic for your community, good things that you can move forward with projects or initiatives, please feel free to reach out to Lee Burns. She has a master's in preservation. She has worked at the Department of Natural Resources in the state's Historic Preservation Office. She is a wealth of knowledge in this area, and it would just be such a shame for you guys not to take advantage of that. One of the other areas that we've tried to provide more flexibility in is the board section. One of the areas I will point out to you is there is a point here. This is all new and or existing board members attended Main Street 101 within their first year of their first term. The reason for that is some communities, may not be bringing on new board members during the calendar year, but have had board members that have attended Main Street 101 in the past, and they want to make sure that they can still take advantage of receiving that point, and we've heard you on that, and so we are giving you that opportunity here. The first one, board of directors is not a figurehead board, but is a working board. That is really important. That is a priority for us as an office. What I will say here that I have heard from people is, well, I check off the boxes to make my board look good, but they're not the best and they're not doing these things. What I will say to you is, you're not doing us any favors and you're not doing yourself any favors by doing that. Only check the box if it's actually applicable. When we see these annual assessments, we go through it, we look at it all, and we write you back and give you recommendations and address topics that may be of concern. If you don't meet one standard 1 year, one time, that's not going to get you disqualified. We're not kicking you out. We're not sending you to the curb, but it does identify an area for us that you need to focus on and work on. So please, like I said, you're not doing yourself any favors and you're not doing your program any favors to just check a box and say that someone's doing something if they're really not doing something. Allow us to be the heavy. Allow us to do our jobs and to help your community move things forward by accurately and honestly assessing yourselves. With the next standard, let's see. I just want to highlight one thing. Budget includes education and travel expenses to attend the National Main Streets Conference or other training opportunities as outlined in the MOU with DCA. Obviously, this past year we had the conference in Atlanta. We required everybody to come as part of that. I hope that you guys enjoyed that experience, and I would encourage you to come with us to Milwaukee if your budget allows for that. I understand that's not always the reality. When I was in Carrollton, my city would not let me travel outside the state. I get it. I'm not going to require it, but we want to make sure that your budget does allow for other training opportunities as outlined so that you can travel to a regional managers meeting, that you can come to the state conference, that you have the opportunity to take advantage of those professional development opportunities. For staff management and development, we've tried to give you a little more flexibility here. One of the things that I will point out on the bottom, this is just for new managers. We want to see the completion date for your 101, and that's just so we have a record of it. Obviously, we have registration records on our end, but it's nice to have it on this actual assessment document for you guys to have that as well. I've had a lot of people ask me about this the full-time staff meets the Georgia Main Street Program salary average. And people have asked me, well, my benefits get me there, but my actual pay doesn't get me there. And the reason I won't let you check the box is because I'm not helping you in that situation. The whole idea is that this is the average salary recommendation based off of our annual manager salary survey that we usually do, and that will be going out hopefully as part of today's weekly email. But the idea is that managers can be underpaid, and especially in certain parts of the region, they are significantly underpaid. By allowing you to check off this box if you're not actually meeting that requirement without your benefits as part of that package, like I said, I'm not doing you any favors. I'm also not putting anything out there that's going to incentivize other people to rise up and actually meet this number. So I'm not trying to be mean about that. I'm actually trying to help you. You will also see on this next one, program of ongoing training. Remember how I mentioned before that managers are required to receive at least 30 hours of downtown development related training? That is indicated in Standard 8 here, and it is 4 points. So like I said, I'm giving you a lot more flexibility about how you meet that training and what you do and where you go to, but it is 4 points. So you need to make sure that you're at least meeting those 30 hours. And don't rely on me to tell you if you've met them or not. Be honest, sign up for stuff, keep a record of what you signed up for. And then the way you keep track of it is how many sessions did you go to? How long were you there? Use your best judgment. If you're going to DDA training, I know that's 8 hours. That's an easy peasy one. But when you're going to something like the state conference and there's multiple sessions and stuff, you just need to keep track of what you've attended and how long you were there. You'll also see staff or program representative attended at least one regional Main Street managers meeting. So in order to check that box, you're going to need to have somebody, either the manager or representative, go. We are not requiring attendance at the National Main Street Conference or the Georgia Downtown Conference this year. This is different that's in the past. Now, we are highly encouraging that you go. We will be there. We're sponsors of the conference this year, but we're not requiring attendance. But if you have an organizational representative, whether that's a staff member, a board member, attend either of these, you can get a point for that. So what I will say is, just like we've recommended in the past, make sure you're kind of looking through these standards prior to the year kicking off. Go through it with your board so that way you don't get halfway through the year or 3/4 of the way through the year and realize, oh, well, I can't check this off because these have already happened. You want to make sure you're staying on top of that. Reporting key statistics. This is what I was talking about with those monthly reports. This year, we allowed you to check this box as long as you got all 12 in and turned into us, and it was good to go, whether you did them throughout the year or whether you did them at the end of the year. This will not be a box you can check next year if you are not turning them in on time within that 30-day period. And you will not be able to meet this standard right here if you do not have this box checked. So fair warning, telling everybody now, make sure you stay on top of the monthly reports this year. One of the other cool things that you'll see, organization as a membership at the National Center, is that these are all the standards from throughout the document. And they will, as you check and uncheck stuff, they will auto total here for you. And so the nice thing is when you say total number of above accreditation standards receiving 7 points or more, you'll be able to automatically look. You don't have to go back through the document and say, okay, this one has this one has this. All those standards, those numbers are auto-tabulated here for you at the end to make your life a little bit easier. Again, at the end, attachments, talking about the things that we need to see in your Dropbox folder. One of the things that Lee and I are both working hard on in the new year is a special welcome packet that will be a document that goes out to all new managers throughout the state whenever they come on board, that talks about Dropbox, that talks about the assessment, that talks about all these different things, a much more comprehensive version to be able to introduce you to the network. One of the other things that I want to show you briefly before we run out of time is our website. So we have a brand new website, georgiamainstreet.org, georgiamainstreet.com. It'll all take you to the same place. We've got our little bugs fixed. But this is a great resource for you guys. We'll be highlighting a community each month. We've got some fast facts as well as information and updates depending on what's going on. Some of the things that I think will be great for you guys, you can access our design services and see the different price points. You can submit a request, a design project assessment if you want to get a quote. So these are different packages as well as price points. One of the things I think you'll find most valuable is over here in our resources. So we have an area that introduces you to our partners and gives you links and information for them. We have information for job postings. Anytime that we have available positions across the state, we will post those here. So keep an eye out whether you're looking for a new position or whether you are interested in posting or advertising a new position. One of the other things I really love is our resource library. You know, we get so many questions all the time as, oh, can I have an example of a job description? Can I have an example of a work plan, an org chart, a budget, bylaws, maps? All that information is in here. In our work plans, we talk about community transformation strategies. We've got example work plans. We talk about how to develop a work plan. This is a great resource for you guys to be able to look in and see what other people are doing as well as what we recommend. One of the things I will say is that if you're going through this and you want to share some of your information, if you want to share your bylaws, if you want to share a copy of your budget, your vision mission statements, you think you've got good information for that, please feel free to let us know, because we would be more than happy to put you out there as an example of what to do. One of the other things that we had on our old website is financial tools, talking about different things from around the state. So if you need more information about tax allocation districts or the state's historic preservation tax incentives or different things like opportunity zones, these are all, think, financial things. We've got different categories such as historic preservation and design, small business development, and community resources. A list of our main streets statewide. I love this. It's a cool map, and you know, remember that I asked you guys for pictures way back in the day? This is why, because I want to be able to pull this up. We can see the year that you're incorporated. We can see the impact, you know, and it pulls up your numbers, what tier you're in, as well as the website connecting to you. And when you scroll down, hold on one second. Okay. You'll see right here on the right-hand side are Georgia standards for accreditation, as well as information on the startup program if anybody asks you about it. You can also sort here by the different tiers, the gems versus the classic main streets, that sort of stuff. When you scroll down here, these categories expand with contact information. So the community, the contact, phone number, and email of each person from each community, depending on the tier. This way, you guys don't always have to come to us when you want that information. Another thing that we have is the training calendar. And this is a way that you can see what's happening with us as well as what's happening with our partners from around the state. We've got DDA training on here, tourism day at the Capitol, information about when monthly reports are due. All that's on here, and you can actually register for this stuff through our website. So I think that's a fun little tool. And the last but not least, when you need to access monthly reporting, up here at the top, we've got our own special little button that says monthly reporting. And that is a way that you guys can directly access that information. So before we run out of time, I'm going to do a few Q&As because I'm sure people have questions. So let me see what's going on. Give me 1 second. Pull this up. Someone said, are we no longer required to be members of the Georgia Downtown Association for standard number 10? That is correct. We are not requiring it, but we do encourage you to participate with the Georgia Downtown Association. So as you'll see with standard number 10, you're only required to be a member of the National Main Street Center. And that's because the National Center has asked that in that standard, that's the only requirement because they don't want other people to be financially obligated for other organizations. Thank you guys for the love on the website. It was a long time coming, and it's been a lot of hard work. So I'm excited to see it all kind of come to fruition. Yes, the new standards for the 2016 standards are on the website. If you want to access those, you can go to our website, georgiamainstreet.org, click on Main Street Statewide, and when you scroll down, you'll see Georgia Standards for Accreditation. The new document is already uploaded there and will remain there. And if anything changes, we will make sure to update that link. So when you click there, it will come up so you can, download a copy. Somebody asked, when board members and staff watch YouTube videos, can I count those hours? Absolutely. We ask that for Main Street managers. In order for you to count it, it needs to be live, and that's so we can do what we're doing right now, the ability for you to ask us questions and engage with us. But yes, board members and support staff can watch them recorded on our YouTube channel, and you can count that as training hours for them. Let's see, any other questions, guys? Staff receives appropriate benefits. Would cell phone allowance count as a benefit? It's a nice benefit, but what we're talking about here is we're talking about health insurance, we're talking about dental insurance, we're talking about retirement. You don't have to have all of those, but that's what we're talking about with a benefit. Not really the car allowance or cell phone allowance. We're talking about, I want to make sure you got health care. Let's see what else we got. Are new board members still required to have 8 hours of DDA training, or is Main Street 101 the only requirement training for new board members? Okay, here is the legal answer there. Downtown development authorities are required to have 8 hours of training. Nowhere does it say that they have to go to DDA basic training. What I would encourage is if your Main Street program also has a downtown development authority and the board is one and the same, that they go to both. Now, I know that's an extra expense, but the reality is that we don't talk about downtown development authority law or requirements at Main Street 101, but at DDA training, they don't talk about Main Street, 4-point approach or any of those requirements either. So there's not a lot of overlap there at all. What I will say is that we have purposefully planned a training down in Jekyll Island in August of this year. And the reason we did that is we're actually partnering with the Georgia Municipal Association on it. And DDA basic training will be offered on Thursday, August 11th, and 101 training will be offered on Friday, August 12th. So you can send your board members to one location, one time, and they can get both trainings. And we did that intentionally for those communities that have boards that have that kind of overlap and need to receive both trainings. Somebody asked, do board members have to have this 8-hour training yearly? New board members only need to receive that 8-hour training within their first year, that Main Street 101 training. I would encourage them to participate in webinars and come to other trainings, but it's not an annual requirement. They don't have to do 101 annually. Someone said, can we count DDA training hours in the annual assessment? Absolutely, absolutely. That is training. You can definitely count that in the annual assessment. What I will also say is that for those people who are considering signing up for 201, one of the things that we are doing is that 201 will be different every year. So this year, we're focusing on some professional development aspects of it. We're focusing on meeting facilitation and how to have good meetings, as well as we have this really cool game that we've designed. We call it like Downtownopoly, but basically it's an interactive game that we created where you're going to look at the needs of a community as well as the design needs and different financial tools and resources and see how you can pull it all together to make it work in your downtown. But 201 every year is going to be a little bit different. So you don't have to worry about, oh, I've already done this once, I don't ever need to go back to it. Every year we'll change the focus and we're going to keep it interesting for you guys so that way you have new training opportunities every single year. Someone says, if you have a city councilman on your board, are they required to come to Main Street 101 also? Yes, I'm going to say yes. They are required to come to Main Street 101. And that is only for people who are newly appointed. They have to come one time. I will say that we have had people ask about providing online training opportunities for 101. We're working on it. We're not quite there yet. If we can figure it out, this year, we will definitely be able, I would love to be able to offer that in the future. We're just trying to figure out the right way to approach it because there is that accountability issue that we have, making sure that people are actually viewing the webinars, participating and getting the information that they need to be successful. it's not enough, you know, it doesn't help you guys any if I provide an online version that people just say they attended or participated in. Someone said, do we still get credit for participating in the GDA mentoring program? Yes, I believe that's still in the document. I don't believe we've taken that out. If you're having trouble with GDA not pairing you with someone, or you know the person you're paired with isn't really working out, just reach out to us. We have a good relationship with GDA, and we can help move that ball along in that process forward for you. Someone said, can we use the Main Street America logo on the website, etc.? If so, how can we access this logo? Yes, you guys will be allowed to have this logo, to be able to use it on your website. There is some branding guidelines that go along with that, and we will also give you access to use our Georgia Main Street logo on your website. I will say that we're in the process of re-signing our licensing agreement with the National Main Street Center. Hopefully that'll be done at the end of the month, and once that is done, we will have access to the brand, and we'll be able to share that with you guys, and make sure that we give you the brand standards for how to use that appropriately. So yes, everybody who's an accredited and affiliate community will have special logos that go with that you'll have access to. All right, we've got a couple more minutes. Anything else? Okay, as always, this information, this video, or it's not a video, this webinar is being recorded, and we will upload it to our YouTube channel later today, and we will send out this information as part of our weekly email. So if you want to share this with your board or anybody else, please feel free to do so. If you have any questions that you would prefer to follow up with us one-on-one, we highly encourage that. And don't hesitate to let us know anything that you have that are concerns to anything we've brought up, or if you see anything that needs to be addressed or changed or tweaked, we're always open to those suggestions as well. I will say a lot of things that have been changed this year in regards to the annual assessment document have come from suggestions that managers have made to us. And so, like I said, we're trying to make things more flexible for you. We're trying to keep this process and how you go through it in mind constantly, as you know, I want to make it easier on you, not harder on you. And so, like I said, we're trying to kind of establish guidelines and regulations, but you know, keep you guys and how you actually execute everything in mind. So, someone asked one last question: if I have a newly elected board chair, does that particular chair sign the MOU for 2016? Yes, your board chair will sign the 2016 MOU. All right, guys, thank you for everything, and I appreciate your time, and don't hesitate to reach out to me or to Lee at mainstreet@dca.ga.gov if you have any questions in regards to the presentation that we gave today. And I look forward to seeing you guys throughout the state. Have a great